my fellow oddities, and welcome to a new video. With the release of the Mortal Kombat 2 live-action movie trailer last week, I'm going to be ranking all 16 of the character designs we've seen for the film so far. The last movie had some hit-or-miss designs, with some being absolutely godlike, and others being what the hell am I looking at? This time around, we've got new designs for some of the returning characters as well as the new ones, and they are a lot more consistent in quality. Reminder, this is all my opinion, be civil in the comments, yada yada yada. You've heard the spiel before, so let's dive right in. At number 16, starting off with the horrible designs, we have Cole Young. Need I say more? Moving on to number 15 with the bad designs, we have Jade. Yeah, a lot of people are ragging on this design because of the So I'm not going to bore you by repeating the same talking points of the many who care a lot more about this than I do, maybe a bit too much. But yeah, Jade has never been bald, and it's a weird choice that supposedly has an explanation to be revealed in the movie itself. My prediction is that she shaves her head to show loyalty to Shao Kahn, and when she portrays him, she'll let it grow out. Which is kinda interesting, cause usually in movies it's the opposite and the woman cuts her hair to show independence. But still, an explanation doesn't mean it suddenly looks good, and other than that, the design is still not amazing. The green is too dark, and I don't like the staff. For one, it only glows sometimes, and two, it glows green instead of pink. I know that's how it was in MK11, but I don't care. Moving on to the mid designs with number 14, I have Johnny Cage. Listen, Karl Urban has blown me away so far with how good he seems to be portraying this role. The mannerisms, the humor, even his voice. I was one of the biggest critics of this casting, but boy have I been proven wrong 10 times over. But at the end of the day, a Johnny design can only be so cool. Especially when still, Karl is so much older than I would have preferred for this role. It seems off sometimes when I'm watching this 50-year-old with blonde tips hitting these one-liners and wearing stuff like Johnny's MK11 past self jacket. And hey, maybe that's the point, to make him seem washed, like he's trying to relive his past success, but it's still not great for aesthetic. At number 13, I have Sonya. I love this Sonya. I think it's her best portrayal in the media outside of the games, and I loved her design in the first movie. Yes, it's simple, but it covered so much of her character in such a straightforward design. The tactical pants, the gloves, and especially the green tank top. And I specify green because this is exactly why I'm frustrated with the MK2 version of this design, because it's a black tank top instead of green. And I know this sounds stupid to complain about, because it is, but you guys have to understand, Sonya has worn green since the very first Mortal Kombat, and anytime she doesn't wear it, it's a massive downgrade in my opinion. Other than that, it's the same design though, so certainly not bad, but like Johnny, there's not really much you can do with a Sonya design to make her look as cool as other characters without being ridiculous like putting her in a mech suit. At number 12, kind of the same story here with Jax. Now, Jax has the arms, and that certainly makes him cooler than the other Earthrealm/human characters, and the arms look great here, even better than the first movie, probably because they're partly practical now instead of entirely CGI. But still, it's a military guy with metal arms that happens to look like Steve Harvey. I know that meme is outdated, but it's still so funny how big it was for a while. At number 11, I have the last mid-design, Kano. Now, Kano in this movie is so close to being in the good section because, unlike the first movie, his costume is actually from the games. It's the classic black and red design from MK3. But what's gonna make me go on a teensy little bit of a rant here is the fact that they had the perfect setup to give him the classic metal eye plate, and they just didn't. What was the point in killing him in that specific way? Bringing him back in the sequel with a new, more classic-inspired design if you were just gonna leave him with these stupid claw marks and Arcana eye. Jeez. I love you, MK movie team, but please, open your skull and think with your brain sometimes. At number 10, moving on to the good designs, we're starting off with Shang Tsung. Shang's design in the last movie was pretty 50-50 when it came to fan reception. Some really liked the new take with the soul armor, including myself, and others thought it was just a bit too weird and off from the classic sorcerer robes he's known for. But one thing's for sure, no one's fighting in this. Super impractical, heavy armor, big cape, dress. You're not throwing up any high kicks in that. So it seems Shang has a new design, one that's a lot more practical, and it does look good. from this one image where you can barely see it. It looks like they're going for a Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 black and yellow Shang costume, but he wasn't in the trailer, so this is really all we can take away from this design. I'm sure it's higher, but there's no way to tell for sure. And same goes for number 9, Sindel. Now, Sindel did show up in the trailer, and this design looks much better there than it does in the poster, since the poster makes it look like she has black hair, and she kind of looks more like Li Mei than Sindel. But the trailer shows she does have the gray hair from the games, and you can see her design is a little inspired by MK11, as many designs from this movie are, but again, it's very hard to see. I can't really even tell if there's any purple on it because of the lighting, so I can't put it much higher than this. At number 8, we have Baraka, a controversial one because of the mouth. People think the mouth looks weird and moves weird, and I agree with half of that. It definitely moves weird, since when he talks, it's hard to describe, but it doesn't look like that's his real mouth. It looks like a fake mouth with his real one under it, which is probably because that's exactly what it is with the actor wearing makeup. But for how it looks, I don't mind the mouth just in still images such as this poster. And in terms of the actual design, I really like it. It's very inspired by MKX and MK vs. DC in terms of the gray armor, and then MK11 with the markings on his face. I really love the sort of bone belt he's wearing, I assume made up of the bones of his victims. I also think his blades have a very interesting design. They're not the sleek ones from the games, they're not the typical bone or metal ones. They kind of look honestly like shark teeth layered on top of each other. Overall, yes, I understand the complaints about the mouth moving weird, and I hope it's something that isn't distracting for the whole movie, but if it isn't, it's a great Baraka design. Now on to the great designs, starting with Liu Kang at number 7. They made one very simple change to Liu's design in this one compared to the last movie, and it skyrocketed how good it looks, changing the gi from white to red. The white gi always bothered me a bit because, I mean, that's clearly just Ryu's design. Ryu and Liu Kang already get enough stupid comparisons. I don't know why they created this one when Liu has so many outfits, and in not one does he wear anything like this. The red one reminds me a lot of MK4. Obviously that was a tank top based on the 1995 movie design, but just how the colors distribute on this design gives me those vibes. It also reminds me a lot of MKX, since that Liu had a red gi as well, but yeah, great improvement to Liu's outfit here. Only thing that's a bit odd is that he doesn't have a headband anymore. He had one at the end of the last movie, but now it's gone. Not sure why, but it's not a major issue. At number 6, I have Katana. When I first saw this design in the image they released, it looked very off to me because of the balance of blue to silver. There was just too much silver on it, especially with the web-like pattern on her torso, which just seemed unnecessary, and the collar armor she's wearing is quite distracting to me. But after seeing it in action, and especially with a mask, it looks a lot better. I still feel the blue to silver balance could be tipped a little bit more in favor of blue to look a lot better. In one shot, she's not wearing the collar armor and it looks really good. Put a mask on that and it's perfect. But still, I think in motion, you can't really see the more distracting intricacies of the design, and it's like a better version of the MK11 katana design, since that design was just so basic and this one's a bit more fancy and royal feeling. At number 5, I have Kung Lao's new design. This might have been higher if it weren't for two things. One, revenants. I don't like revenants and I never have. Thankfully they didn't go too far with it, only making his skin slightly gray and giving him black eyes. My other thing is that the design from the first movie was just so damn good. It honestly might have been the most perfect Kung Lao design we've ever seen. And anything that wasn't that just was always gonna feel like a downgrade. But the design is still good. I like the diamond pattern on the chest and how dark it is considering it's a Revenant design. Speaking of which, I'm glad they didn't go too overboard with the Revenant aspects like they do in the games with the skulls and spikes and stuff. This one is just black with some torn up cloth, so that's great. At number 4, I have Scorpion. This is the exact same design from the first film, which I always liked. It's not a design that would look good in the games as a main Scorpion, but for a film and this version of Scorpion, I think it's really good. Now in the poster they released, his eyes were completely cloudy white, and it was
perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
But in the actual movie, it's the same eyes from the first with only the white irises, so that's lame. But other than that, I like the armor, the burnt up golden mask, the hood, also the lighting in this one serves the design a lot better than the first movie where he was constantly cast in blue light that washed out the outfit's colors. I also cosplayed this design 4 years ago, so it holds a special place in my heart. Now on to the last section, the goated section, starting off with the big bad Shao Kahn at number 3. This is kind of another mixed design within the fanbase. Some really love it, some don't like it. For me, I think it's amazing. You have to understand, what looks good in the games doesn't always look good in live action. The costumes in Annihilation, for example, are super accurate, including Shao himself. That doesn't change the fact that they are still super goofy looking. And I really respect the costume designers for this film because they had to design a practical outfit for an actor that's like 6'8" and swole, that's recognizable, intimidating, and not stupid looking, and I think they succeeded. People have complained about the mask and how it has a jaw. Guys, the jawless look would just look bad in live action. I'm sorry. We've seen it before. It's gonna look goofy in the modern age. The jaw is never something I want in the games, but here, for a practical mask that needs to fit a real person's facial proportions, it's scary and threatening. Especially in that one shot where he's kinda in the shadows and all you can see is the silhouette of the mask with the red eyes. I can already tell this Shao Kahn is about to be an absolute badass. But moving on to number 2, Raiden. Talk about a glow up. I don't think Raiden looked bad at all in the first movie. I thought it was probably the best live action Raiden design yet. It's a bit weird that they went with an all blue look rather than the blue and white, but I could get over it. It was passable. But this? They didn't need to do this. No one told them to do this. No one said, hey, we need a Raiden design that's as accurate to the games as possible. But they just did it anyway. And it's beautiful. They really decided to lock in with Raiden. The white, perfect color. The blue, perfect color. The vest, the black on the arms, the long loincloth. This was one of the biggest surprises of the trailer, and it really shocked the hell out of me. Shocked. But I am biased. I have Noob Saibot at number 1. But listen, can you really blame me? This is a one-to-one, not inspired by, a one-to-one recreation of the MK11 Noob Saibot design. Even down to Saibot himself having the same design as he does in MK11. Now you might be saying, but oddity, you said multiple times now that MK11 Noob isn't one of your favorite designs. And you'd be correct. For the games, a movie in live action is a whole different thing, and first, I give it points just because of how much I appreciate the effort for them to make a design that's this accurate, but the design also just looks a lot better in live action than I think something like the MK9 costume would. I think that's why a lot of these outfits are inspired by MK11, because that game had very cinematic designs that were ultra practical, ultra detailed, and ultra realistic. And that's not really my thing in the game universe, but that's just the way things are in real life, so it looks a lot better. But just look at him. My goat, Joe Taslim, in the noob costume. Noob Saibot, Bihan, my favorite character. With the sickle. With the white eyes. And also, don't worry, in the poster he has normal skin for some reason, but in the movie he is clearly all black. Maybe they just forgot, or just didn't want to. I don't know. But this is my favorite of the Mortal Kombat 2 movie designs. Let me know in the comments which ones you like the most and which ones you dislike the most. It's gonna turn into a war zone talking about Jade's baldness, isn't it? But while you're down there fighting for your life, make sure to check out the links in the description to my Twitch, merch store, and other social media. Also, make sure to give this video a like to show your support, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to know when I next upload a new video. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.